hot coffee, Saturday morning, you're tuned in. We got a whole table full of stuff. We're going to go ahead and read your comments. You know what? So it's been, it's been crazy this week and trying to get everything juggled around. And we actually did sneak in a video for you, mainly because when we were messing around with it, I said, I knew you guys would just be, disappointed if we didn't show this thing off. So we did. We snuck in a quick video, but that's what we're going to talk about a little bit. We're going to show it to you a little bit more in depth this time around. So if you're new to the Saturday morning show, this is just kind of what we do. It's a hangout show. I read your comments and whatnot. So if you kind of come here just to see firearms solely, this might not be the video for you, because this is the show for all of my loyal viewers and everybody that loves to just kind of come in and hang out with the channel, and you make it possible and make it happen. And hey, look, it's on this side. Yeah, I am supporting my back hometown. That was a friend of mine when he started it up, Kona Guns and Ammo. That was for me back living on the island. Awesome dude. You know what? I mean, I don't think he owns it anymore, but you know what? I still got my shirt from back when he did. He gave it to me right before I left, and so I've always had it. It's a little worse for wear these days, but you know what? It's always home to me. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read your comments. Again, in no particular order, but if your comment wasn't read, like I said, it's either... I did notice that some of your comments were held back. I don't know why, and so I haven't figured out how they do that or how they go about that. So I do apologize. I know some of you have commented that I noticed that there was comments that were held. So, and I had no idea that, So, and you got to bear with me. I'm not really good at all this computer stuff and everything like that. There's so many people that just breeze through the computer networks, and it's like it's become their entire life. I'm not one of those people. I'm still I guess you could say I'm kind of a VHS tape, kind of still trying to make it in this weird world that is going on. So actually, speaking of all that, we're going to try to read the comments off of this cell phone. Because we just didn't have room on the table to bring the laptop that we normally read the comments from, because we brought out all kinds of stuff this time to talk about. Okay, maybe we should start getting up the production and get a new table and stuff like that, which we may do. All right, Crazy Scotsman, he's on here. You are most welcome, brother. And yes, please share with I Carry 100% right about YouTube. It has its issues, but without it, we wouldn't have been able and continue to be able to make great friends, share knowledge, and that's what we do here. I really am happy with the friends that we've made here, and the loyal people that are tuning into this and comment back and forth, and we share information and stories and things that I know that you may know, or that we had here. We shared a bunch of different stuff, products that we're using and all that. And that's what's really cool about what we're doing here on the Collectors Radio Show. That's really awesome. Building friendships and can last well beyond this screen. Well said, brother. Really well said. Knowing the small, important details about the firearm you are looking makes a monumental difference. Being able to look over it and see the key features or missing features that can make or break the deal. Yes, and actually that's what we actually brought out one to kind of talk about as an example of that, to kind of further look into that kind of thing. All right, Warren. A very informative video on collecting. I agree, having the knowledge on what you are collecting is important. It applies to anything you are collecting. Absolutely. Even baseball cards. I used to collect a lot of baseball cards. But I really didn't know a whole lot about it, other than I knew I was trying to collect a lot of stuff from the 80s and whatnot. All right. I have a great respect for high power. It was the Australian Army's service sidearms since Vietnam, and has just only just being replaced by the SIG M17, the British Army, especially their version, Special Force or Special Air Service Regiment. Also had the high powers, especially in the 80s. I was referring to the R1. Thanks for answering, and have a great weekend. You're very welcome. I appreciate that, Warren. Sorry, guys. It's getting harder for me to read things as I'm getting older. I just had my birthday, so I'm older now. So maybe that's what it is. All right, Lion Quest Fitness. Mr. Holster, wry humor, and laid back man's man. He is missed. Yes, he is. Totally. I mean, in fact, that's why I'm wearing this hat. I won this hat from his sock show. He was, he was a character, man. I tell you that was he was one fella that I really enjoyed watching a lot of his stuff. He was really cool. All right. I used to live vicariously through his videos because he had the cold weather, and that's what I wish I had. So I like the cold weather. I used to live in Colorado, and I loved it. I lived down in Longmont. Anybody of you know where Longmont is? Taking a lot of really cool trips to like Loveland and stuff. All right, Sean Lee. Good morning to you. I lived in Vegas for 12 years. Seemed like summer all year long. I know the feeling because out here it does. It feels like summer all year long, and then all of a sudden, we're barely getting cold weather here on this, in the mornings and in the afternoons. But yet here we are, in pretty much we're on the other side of the ending side of November, and we're still experiencing 80 degrees out. That's insane. Where my friend is laughing because he's up in Minnesota, and he said, oh, it's a nice 30 degrees up there. All right. Now I'm back on Washington State, where we actually have 4 seasons. I've definitely taken advantage of GunTubers channels to learn more about firearms. I appreciate what you all do. We appreciate that. And I was actually checking out some of Squib Load's videos, I believe. And he made a good point. I guess he was experiencing some really stupid comments, really, and then that's just the nature of doing things. But he made a really good comment, and it's like, there's the people. I always say respect the people that go out and actually choose to do this, which is quite a crazy thing to do, really, to get out there, film stuff, and project your opinion or your words or whatever out there. So it definitely it put it in perspective a little bit more for even me, what he had said. And what's a good video, actually. I mean, you could tell it's quite upsetting when people do make stupid comments, really just dumb things that really it's like, and it's not so much that I guess it would I don't get bothered by it, but it is rather it's an insult to intelligence, really. I guess you could say. I don't know. I usually most of the ones that are like that are just immediately deleted anyway, because I for one don't want and I've said this from the beginning, don't want a string of comments under my videos that are just absolutely child's play, really, language and belittling and picking and just dumb stuff. Because you know what, I realize I'm a gun channel. I realize, obviously I'm a gun channel. I don't want that associated with firearms. That's a negative outlook. It's a poor example of the sport that we love to do and embrace in a positive way, and that is not a positive way. All right. Slimfire, good morning. Great collector's radio today. That would be fun to shoot a plate rack. Yes. I'm in VA. It broke a record last week. The hottest day in the fall. Oh, wonderful. That's just awesome to hear, man. I'm sorry. Jeez. Okay, I'm not alone out here, right? Actually, I talked to my friend up in Washington State, and he's experiencing some hot weather too. All right, I can see them making the Royal Blue too, the Royal Blue Colt too. Have you seen the TSOS Night Stalker? I did. Looks kind of wild and definitely modernized 1911. What is your thoughts? Thanks, Slim. Well, Slim, to answer that right now, when it comes to 1911s, even though, like, yes, I have a couple now, and they seem to be more my range guns now, which is like I really like that Springfield Armored Ronin, and I have gotten accustomed to a nice trigger, the beaver tail grip safety, and really good sights that I can see, because it has been getting more and more difficult for me to see the sights. Although near and dear in my heart, I love just the old school look. It's simple, it's plain. It really is just there's something about that that's really cool. And if I had to only pick one, it would have to be something in this configuration, the A1 configuration. I just, but I understand the modern stuff. Now, one thing I'm not a fan of, and when I saw that the TSOS Night Stalker, if I'm thinking of the right one, I'm not a fan of all the cutouts that they did in the top of the slide. Not a fan of that. I don't. I just there's just something about that. Even though I'm sure it's not, I'm sure it's like proven and all that. But there's just that emotional part of me that says they took away some integrity of the metal or the slide. I imagine one of those little cross pieces where the ports are busting off, and so that's what gets me on some of that stuff whenever I see that. So I don't know. I've never been a fan of ported firearms. I just haven't, because again, when I saw those, even like in revolvers, or I seen them put cuts in the barrels and stuff, and I'm like, ugh, I don't know. I just there's just that part of me that just immediately thinks they've taken away some of the integrity of the barrel itself, or the structure that's supposed to be, especially if you think about the 1911 and how of course it's it is a technology it's a design from eons and eons ago, over 100 years ago. It was designed and built a certain way for a reason. So it just, it does kind of weigh on me a little bit on that. But nice gun. Far as TSOS goes, I had one, and I had it for a while. I sold it. I kind of, just one of those things where, a lot of things I've let go, just because I just didn't want to amass such a quantity of stuff. I wanted to kind of slim it down. And it just, and I had it, I messed with it for a while, but I've gotten a little bit more away from just buying something just the mentality of like, oh, that would be cool just to kind of mess with it, a range or something like that all the time. Back when I worked at an indoor range, it was easier to do that. Oh, that would make a really good range gun. So when I worked at an indoor range, it was really easy to amass guns that are strictly like, that would be fun to play with on a weekly basis, because of where I'm at. I'm always at a range, so it was really cool to do that. But I've really kind of trimmed off all the excess firearms that I used to have, and really got down to where I was, it's like, if I'm not super fond of it in a way where it's got some extreme like meaning to me, like for instance Joe P, we were talking about that high standard shotgun. It's not a very expensive shotgun, it's not the best shotgun, but you know what, there's something really cool about it, because it was the same model that was used in the movie The Getaway with Steve McQueen. So there's just something about that. It's like, oh, it's like having something that's that cool, or whatever, and whatever movie it is. But you know what, it has gotten to the point with me where even my friend in Washington, we were talking about it. That it's like you have it for a while, and you kind of mess with it, you kind of play with it, and then sometimes it loses luster, and then and then there's something else we want, and that's what happens. You end up going and trading it stuff out for something else we want. Yeah, I'm not one of those people that is like, I don't get to get a pile of money to just handed to me for whatever reason, for a job or whatever. I mean, but even, it's like, I'm just not one of those people. I will say this, it's like, I'm not throwing shade or throwing rocks at the guy or anything like that. I love what he does, and I think he's one of the last heroes of the 1911 stuff. But when I heard somebody like Ken Hackathorn say that, you too can have one, it can be fixed easily with just money. Well, yeah, of course. But I also don't receive thousands of dollars just for being me, or I don't get to go to teach a class and just kind of run through some basics, which I understand. It takes years of accumulation of skill and knowledge and everything like that, but to be able to do that. But not all of us are that lucky. And most of us are working stiffs like myself that are 9-to-5ers, and that's what I mean when I mean working stiffs. I mean when you are getting up on a weekly basis and going into a job and clocking in at a certain time and clocking out at a certain time and going home and trying to relax and do that thing. And there's a lot of us that are doing that, and there's a paycheck at the end of that cycle, and that number never seems to match the numbers that we need at the end of the month. And that's where it's rough, and that's and that's life. So suck it up, buttercup. But yes, not all of us are blessed with a whole bunch of money. I certainly am not. So I end up trading things off in order to get new toys, to play with new toys, to keep myself entertained and keep something in the far distance that you like a goal or something you want, that you look forward to, because I think it's very important in life to look forward to things that you want to do or experience and get, because you know what, trying to keep yourself happy and positive and uplifted on a daily and weekly basis in times, especially times like now, it's important. It really is. It's important. Instead of trying to be just bottled up, negative, pissed off, a sore loser all the time, it's really not a good way to go through life. It really isn't. So, and of course, decisions, definitely play a factor in that. But yes, so on the T-Sauce, I think they're awesome stuff. I think what they're doing is really great. On that note too, like I did see that they made a more compact high power. I really thought that was cool, and really awesome that they made it an alloy frame. But I think what they failed with that, to me, in my opinion, is they put that ugly rail on the bottom, which, okay, if you're going compact, it's for like concealment when I start thinking of that, because if I'm not concealing it, why would I want a compact? And they added that ugly rail, which makes it more cumbersome, and they put that really high upswept beaver tail on the back of it. I mean, it's dramatically upswept. So like my Hackathorn special has a bobbed beaver tail, if you will. It's not quite as up high, but it's kind of more of a subdued one, and that's because it's Commander variant, and that's about the smallest I want to go with a 1911. In fact, the Commander variant has become more of my favorite in 9mm. But and then here's another example. Okay, Python, they did the 2.5-inch barrel, but they put the smaller service grips on it. Why put the big grips on it? Because it not only aesthetically looks good, but yeah, it's feasible. It's more feasible in that case. So may not feel the best, but that's rare. But yeah, anyway, that's one thing. The other thing I'm not a fan of, which I don't know, I can't remember if some of these companies like T-Sauce is doing that or not, but I'm telling you, a really big pet peeve of mine and a deal breaker for me, and what I will absolutely will in a way tell me, or it has been a major deal breaker for me. I don't know how to quite say it. It's like I won't buy it. I just won't. A lot of times I will straight up hard pass them. And for me to bypass this would have to be something I absolutely, really want. And I'm going to tell you this right now. And I mean, if they do put it on there, I hope they hide it or put it in a spot that's just not. But I can't stand when they take a firearm and they put instruction manual on it. Read the instruction manual or warning. This will. Oh my God. People, if you are that stupid that you need to have that on your firearm, or that's where we've come to, like, it's a firearm, like, seriously. But no, that's a straight up deal breaker for me. I see some of those with the big, like, warning, you know, this gun is capable of firing without the magazine, or warning, read instruction manual before using, or anything like that. Put that on the box, put that on the packaging, put that on a hang tag. Don't put it on the firearm. Okay, Joe P. Swig of coffee for Joe. Good morning. Sage advice on buying. I'm still chasing a high standard shotgun on Gunbroker. Well, it's not real expensive item. Prices are all over the place. I don't want the cheapest I can find, and I don't want to pay too much either. All part of the fun, I guess. Yep, it is. The chase is actually more fun than the actual catch. Although that first moment when you finally have it in your hands and you're at home and you're drinking your coffee and you got it, I mean, there is all that. But yeah, sometimes the chase is a lot more fun. Make sure, Joe, as you probably already know, with that one, make sure that the corn cob on those are not chipped, cracked, or anything like that. I've seen a lot that are like that. So even mine has a slight, right in the rear, it's got a slight chip out of it. Honestly, I didn't notice it right away, but it doesn't bother me. But, you know, if you're doing it in the aspect, if you're looking at a bunch of them, if I had a choice to pick out five, out of 5 of them, I certainly wouldn't have picked the one with the chip. But anyway, I didn't have a choice. It was just that one. Anyway, all right. Stephen K., I believe, from the sunny slopes of long ago, I miss Scott, a.k.a. Mr. Holster. Videos, I watch every one of them. Good radio show. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yes, we do miss Scott. All right. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't know what your username is because of the jumbled up lettering or whatnot. But your icon is a J, 8718. Good video, very informative. Thanks for sharing. We appreciate that. CZ 9mm USA. Hey brother, I hope you're doing well. Beretta Senior. Yes, thank you. And Ship Security. Sweet Freddy Sweater. Yes. All right. So we got through the comments. I know it's been a longer radio show, but I think some of you don't mind that. But yes, we did the video on this, the 2.5-inch Python that Colt had done out. My buddy and I, that we were going around and doing stuff. He bought a 10mm 1911, and so we were just kind of messing around. But anyway, ended up with this. And for those of you that want to know, in the box here, which we didn't show the box in the video, I've had this thing for a while, I would say. Model D, they call it. I don't know why. I don't know what that's all about, why they call it a Model D. I don't know if it's the frame. I know that the Diamondback is a D frame. The Pythons are on an I frame, so I don't know what that's all about, why they call it the Model D. Maybe you know. But it's called Model Python up here. I don't know, so it says Model Python up here, 2.5-inch barrel, 357 Magnum stainless steel, alt mount grips with a revolver. Okay, and nothing really awesome came in the box, really. Nothing really awesome comes in there, other than the receipt of my trade that I traded in. The hang tag, some other paperwork, the booklet right there, which is the newest booklet that they got out for the thing. So I always keep all that stuff, and it's very important to keep the original packaging when you go to sell these things. You trade them in because that makes a big deal. Especially something like that. Speaking of packaging, like stuff like this that comes with some of the other Colts and stuff like that, I mean, you got to be a complete blatant moron to throw that away. So, but anyway, no, this is really cool because when I first saw these, not this one, but when I first knew about the snubby python, and boy, that action, like I said, man, that action is just unbelievable that they were able to do this again. Was known as the Snake Eyes, and the Snake Eyes series obviously were just, astronomical money, and just, only the rich and elitist was able to own them. But this is really cool that they went back and they redid this, and they did, and then they did the nice polished stainless, which I'm a big fan of, as you guys know. I know they're now doing this in matte stainless or something, but I think I've given my opinion, my way I feel about matte stainless or satin stainless or whatever. I'm not a fan. I'm not. Or brush nickel or anything like that. It's actually why I got rid of certain things, because to me it just looks like unfinished work. It just looks like they didn't put a finish on it and they just shipped it out to you. Here you go, But no, in this case, like this high polished look, that's a finish. They did something to it. It's nice. It's elegant. It looks like nickel plating, but holds up better, obviously. But yeah, this is just awesome that they're doing this. The 2.5 now, so I believe in their lineup they got the 2.5, the 3, the 4, the 5, the 6, and I think they have an 8. I don't know if they have an 8 yet or they're going to. I know they have an 8 in the Anaconda, which is the 44 Magnum. But this was, for a Python, for me, this was cool. This is the ultimate. I was really excited when I learned that they did this, and that's thanks to Justin Baldini over there at Colt making a video about it. That's how I found out about that they were doing this, and I just said, what? But they have been out for a little while, as usual. I was late to the party of learning about it, but actually that paid off, because I'm sure when they first came out, they were probably extremely hard to get. I don't know. I was able to go over to my friend's place, and they pretty much had one. They were like, here, you want one? There it is. So I was like, hey, yeah, let me grab this couple of these things and trade you out for it. And so there it is. So anyway, but yeah, I'm really, I've been happy with it. It's been nice. My complaint, I guess, would be the alt mount grips are thin. I wish they would have thickened those up a little bit. So I don't know, but it's not terrible, but with moderate 38 special, it was a little bit painful, because it really hits you right here. I think it's just this squared edge. Maybe if you took, but I don't really want to round these off or anything like that. Maybe if I made some of my own or something like that, which I made reproductions of the Catalan grips for it, which I've not put on there or anything like that. I kind of just got done messing with them, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I do like the wood look, but there's, I do have other sets, but I mean, even these are fairly thin, so that's really not going to do much for the sake of that. But I like the way these look. They look nice. I mean, so I kept them on there. That's, I'll just leave it as that. I think the Snake Eyes ones were white synthetic ivory with the dice or something on them or whatnot, which I thought that was a little cheesy. But I mean, the white grips are great, but putting the little dice or whatever on it that they did was kind of dumb. But no, this is really cool that they done this, that they're having it, and again, to reiterate things that Colt did. The top strap is a lot thicker, so I forget what the percentage is. I think they made it a lot thicker, so it holds up better. And the thickness between this spot between the back here and then this is a lot wider, and of course the entire top strap is a lot more heavy duty. And from what I can tell, I haven't looked at an older Python for a while, but the forcing cone does look a lot more beefier. It looks a lot more robust, like it will hold up better. So, and the action, those of you that are afraid of the action or whatnot, the action is amazing. In fact, the action is better in single action or double action for sure. That does not stack on you. The old ones used to stack. It used to get harder and harder. This is one straight pull all the way through, which is pretty nice. That is beautiful. The hammer pull, oh, great. So again, I'm going to render an opinion. I'm going to tell you something. And this is honestly the way I feel about this. Because there was enough people like myself that I'm an old school love of the revolvers and definitely loved the old Python and everything, but it was just never, it always felt like it was just like this, like, I don't know, fragile gun rather. But anyway, so much things rode around the price and collectability and their worth. So with the Python, and I think, and what I feel honestly is the reason why there was so much shade thrown at these when they first came out, especially, and yeah, they had some hiccups, right? They didn't lock this down enough, and the mainspring needed to be a little bit more stronger so they didn't get light strikes and things like that. And I forget what was the other one. I don't know. I heard something with the barrel that was like a weird little something up there that was it was just an eyesore. I don't think it affected any. I don't know for sure. I didn't really keep up with it. But Colt jumped on that immediately and just fixed all that. I've shot this. I have not had a single problem. The cylinder doesn't stop turning, and even if it did, I know it's just tightening this up, or tighten up the screws a little bit. Make sure you get a screwdriver that fits really well. You don't want to sit there and cry and be scratching this thing. But anyway, all those things and all that has gone away. But the reason why the people are so jumped on throwing shade at this, because it hurt I don't care what you say, it hurt the value of the old ones. It really did, because of a major reason why did the Python all of a sudden have such a big bump and resurgence, and everybody was like so rekindled with it. I didn't watch a show, but The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead character has a 6-inch nickel-plated or a stainless steel Python. Well, that's what this answered, So there was that right there. The big romance of that just went poof, right. I mean, it allowed now people that wanted to, maybe check one out, but they couldn't. I mean, obviously, you can't afford $4,000 for a revolver to get one. Not everybody's going to do that. So. And the prices were climbing, get more and more ridiculous. But now what this did was open the doors. Now, I mean, straight up, think about it. You can go into most of your gun shops now, any reputable good gun shop, and they're going to have one. Or, right down the way, in my neck of the woods, we can go down to, like, say, Cal's Ranch. And Cal's Ranch has got a 4-inch Python right now in their showcase. Every time I've gone in there, they've got one. So, and they got that one will sell, and they'll bring in a 6 or whatever. I've seen multiple barrel lengths in there. So, that's, to think about that concept, what you're thinking, like, you can go down and buy one right now, and it's like, $1,400-$1,500. Not cheap, but again, it's not going to be $3,500 for $4,000, $3,500, $4,000. So, now that has happened, now that this has happened, again, those older ones now have definitely dropped a little bit, and that's what's upsetting people. And it's just because of greed. It has nothing to do with. To me, the old Python, the royal blued old Python, it still is very attractive. It still has a very attractive appeal to even me. I still you know, I still feel like if one ever swung, you know, slithered my way for a decent price, I might have to grab one. I don't know. You know, I just it depends on the way I'm feeling and what I'm after at that point in time. But you know, I used to have them. Yeah, I got rid of them. I traded them away because there was something else I wanted that I really, really wanted, and those were just stuff that, you know, was kind of hidden. Not really something I really had to have anymore. But that's what I think is mostly upsetting. All those people are upset because their glorious jewel that they were thinking about buying a house with selling, it's not going to happen. Now they got to settle for, you know, a Pinto. So that is just what's happened. I can tell you this much too. Like, I remember going down. This was about several months ago. We went down to my friend's place. That he has his shop down there. He's been running it, and I walked down there, and I remember seeing a 6-inch python, a royal blued one, right there on the shelf. It was $1,800. I mean, you would have never saw that ever. So, you know, so there it is. You know, I mean that $1,800. You know, and I remember when I first got my older ones that I had. I mean, I got them for, like, you know, I think it was like $1,400. So, but that was, you know, over 10 years ago. So it's just to see that, you know, that much of that, it didn't raise that much, you know, because of the, so anyway, but, you know, I'm not trying to speak negative on that. It's just, that's just the way it is. But I mean, I embrace it. I enjoy it. I am glad that this is available. I'm glad that these are available, because I want to have it, enjoy it, shoot it, and, you know, and have it. And I want everybody to be able to have the ability to do so. So anyway, that's that. That's how, you know, that is on that. On the other note, you know, Joe, you were talking about having to, you know, you're chasing after that. I brought out this one because this is one I've chased after for a while. This is a Colt's reproduction of the World War I pistol. And this one is a brand new one in the box, unfired. I know, I don't do that much anymore, but this was just one that was really near and dear to me. When this one popped up, I said, you know what, I'm gonna have to grab that thing, because not only is it one of the, I got one, mine is an oxide. The other one, my original one that I got is a black oxide finish. This one's a carbonia blue finish, and which is the more rare of the bunch. They didn't make very many of these, and when I saw this on the market, I had to snatch it up. They've gotten a lot more expensive now, and I remember chasing after one of these just ridiculously hard. I could not get my hands on it, and so this one here kind of remains in the collection. It's kind of near and dear for me because it's in perfect condition, and I just wanted to have it. Got the box packaging and everything, got the original hang tag and all that stuff like that. So yeah, this one's really, really cool. But yeah, this marks one that I have chased after. Oh my goodness, that's not an easy gun to find. And if you are looking for them, I mean, they are very expensive now. So that's a tough one. That would be something I could not part with easily. So, because of the difficulty of getting it. All right, and I'm going to leave you with one other thing. We were talking about collectibles, and when you're buying stuff, and you know, being ignorant or whatnot, or ill-informed, it can cost you, and it can. In the cases like this. This is a World War II, nice original model. As I almost drop it on the floor, and I would have everybody scream, including my foot, because it's a very heavy gun. Anyway, but this one here, this particular one is a Remington Rand. And knowing a little quick tidbit for you that are out there, if you're collecting them and looking at them for Remington Rands and whatnot, generally Remington Rands had a high standard barrel. That's who made the barrel for them, and that was because High Standard was making mostly a lot of 1911 barrels. I believe I carry one of myself. We were looking it up. I think he looked it up, and I think they were making barrels from 1926 to like the end of the war. So they were outfitting everybody with barrels. There was the major companies that were making these during World War II. You had Colt, you had Remington Rand, which made the most, Ithaca, Union switch and signal, and the very, very rare Singer sewing machines. And I think there's another one that's even more rare. I want to say it's like, I don't know if it's North American Arms or something. I don't know if that was World War One or World War Two, but those are the major ones that everybody knows about. So anyway, all right. The frames are not marked. The frames are not going to be marked by the slide, or the maker of the slide. So for instance, you may have like a Colt slide and some other frame made by somebody else. Now remember, back then they didn't care about collector's value. They were just throwing stuff together. Okay, so the inspectors for Remington Rand and Ithaca, because that was in New York area, would be Franklin Atwood. Frank Atwood, or whatever. So, in other words, FJA, Frank J. Atwood, that was the inspector for Remington Rand and Ithaca. So, and the inspector mark is going to be right here on the top, on the left side of the gun, right there. The finish of the things are very important. As you can see, this has that original green Parkerizing finish. Not sure exactly why that is, or what caused them to turn that way. I don't know if they just because the Parkerizing was just like, that's just what they turned out to be, or years of being in Cosmoline. I don't know. But this one is in the best finish I've ever seen on one of these, so that's the reason why I ended up with it. Because I've got another one that's in really a lot worse condition. But also this on the other side here, where you're going to see the U.S. property mark and what it is, model 1911 A1 U.S. Army. There is no other markings other than the serial number. If it has other markings, like say, for instance, SA or RIA or something like that, that's basically an indication that this was sent at one time to an arsenal rebuild, and they rebuilt the gun, and upon doing it, they mark it. I've seen those markings. I've seen AA, which I think is like Augusta Arsenal or something. Sometimes there's marked over here. I've seen markings scattered all out down through this side as well. Those also indicate that it's been arsenal rebuild and all that. So that's what I stay away from, because usually those are not. They're still historically a cool gun, but I prefer to have them in this kind of configuration where it hasn't been altered too much. So this one here, got lucky again. This is pretty much all original. It has not been arsenally sent back or refinished or anything. The finish is original. The stampings are still really sharp. It hasn't been buffed or redone or anything like that. You can clearly on the inspector cartouche, you can really feel that, because that has been done after they Parkerized it, so that's really sharp, and you can see where it's been dug in. Also, the mainspring housing for all of these guys, Remington Rand and Ithaca, to my knowledge, they're serrated. The early Colts and stuff like that were checkered, and I believe Union Switch and Signals ones were checkered as well, because I think they got those from Colt. Colt was the ones that were checkering them. It's going to have the narrow hammer, because this is a later war, I believe, later during the wartime, so it's got the narrow hammer and all that. But it's really cool, a really cool piece of history. But it's ways you can tell. Later guns also had stamp trigger. You can tell that by just you can take it out, or you can kind of see where there's like the little holes or something like that in the very rear, where you can see where the metal's been folded over. The early ones were milled. If you have like an early 1942 or something like that, it should have the mill trigger. But then again, there's also this thing to think about. Remember when they're assembling all this stuff, they have boxes and bins of parts, and they're just grabbing and putting them in there. The first parts in the box are the last parts to leave. So, anyway, thank you. Enjoy your weekend. I appreciate it for anybody still hanging out here at 44 minutes upcoming. That is 44 minutes of your life you will never, ever get back. And to the sunny slopes of long ago.